You open the Walmart app and boom! The Reebok and Hanes styles that keep your kiddos on their A-game delivered in as fast as an hour. That's right, those comfy Hanes Performance Crew socks they love in the app. And the coolest shirts, shorts, hoodies, and leggings from Reebok? Yep, Walmart's got them. They'll feel so focused in their new gear they won't even notice you freaking out on the sidelines. Shop Reebok and Hanes in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new. Subject to availability, fees, and restrictions apply.
Not all meals are created equal. For instance, breakfast has the spicy egg McMuffin for a limited time, and lunch doesn't. McDonald's breakfast comes first. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
The story is really touching. I'll be interested to know whether that's just nostalgia on my part, but I think it's a very weird experiment as well as a really charming little film.
And it's weird that it's like a story within a story within a story. It goes from like Roald Dahl to Henry Sugar to Chatterjee, or I've got the name wrong, and then it circles back again.
And then Khan, and then the Yogi tells a story, which then Khan tells to Chatterjee, which Chatterjee tells to the book, which then Dahl tells us, which then Anderson makes a film about, and I've just described that film to you on the podcast as well. I think there's like 6 or 7 different levels of storytelling.
Hello everyone, joining Flixwatcher today we have Sam.
Oh, hello.
We have Hannah.
Hey.
And Kobe.
Oh, hello.
And we're here today to talk about the wonderful story of Henry Sugar and 3 more.
Thank you as always to Mighty People for the mighty tunes, and thanks to Ben from Rocket Audio for editing this podcast. Please do remember to head over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Pocket Casts and give us a 5-star rating and a glowing review. If you want to join us on social media, we're there on Twitter, Threads, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok.
Hello film fans, welcome to Flixwatcher Podcast. Our guests today are Sam and Hannah. Over to you, please, Hannah, to say hello to our listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Hi, I'm Hannah Wales and I am a journalist in London. I write news about film, entertainment and showbiz, and I do film reviews for Pearl and Dean, and I have my own website called Miss Flix where I do more film reviews and opinion features about films.
Do you pick the films that you review, or are they all... How's that work?
For Pearl and Dean, I generally do the 2 biggest cinema releases every week. And then I do the same for my website and then any other that I'm interested in to be released that week. So I can kind of pick what I want to do, but at the same time, they prefer the biggest each week. So I'm generally on top of all the cinema releases.
And who are you, Sam?
Hello, I'm Sam Pay. I'm an actor, musician, an occasional podcaster. I perform at various places around London and elsewhere. When this comes out, I think I'll probably be performing at the Watermill in a version of Piaf, the Edith Piaf musical. But I'm mostly known on the internets as one of the hosts of Song by Song, the podcast all about the music of Tom Waits, which I did 8.5 years of a weekly show about a gravelly voiced man and all the things he did with his life.
And you didn't get sued once, which is a genuine concern of yours when
we really tried.
Met.
We really pushed our luck. There's a little 20-second fragment. Fair use is a very complicated issue, but no, so far, we've gotten away with it.
There's still, I mean, no matter who you speak to, there's the kind of shrug your shoulders kind of thing. Like, can we use this? Meh, fair use.
I think that everyone agrees it's probably not allowed, but it doesn't seem to have been a bad idea for anyone in a really notable way so far.
Yeah, I mean, how many people are out there really checking podcasts or using more stuff?
I mean, I don't think enough, because the amount of stuff I hear on some shows that I listen to, I'm like, you better hope that no lawyer ever gets a hold of Pocket Cast or anything like that. They will go to town.
So you've chosen Henry Sugar and The Wonderful Life. What is a Wonderful Story? Wonderful Life.
The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and the 3 more. Yes.
3 more. Can you tell us why you chose that? And I'll give you then the timer.
I grew up reading Roald Dahl, as I think a lot of us did, but The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar is my favourite Roald Dahl story. So when Netflix and Wes Anderson announced that they were going to be doing an adaptation of it, I was genuinely excited, like more excited than any other Dahl adaptation, more excited than any other Wes Anderson adaptation. And I think it's a very interesting film. All four of them are interesting in different ways. These were released separately as a series of shorts across September 2023, I think, and then subsequently edited together as an anthology film. And I think it's fascinating, and I think the story is really touching. I'll be interested to know whether that's just nostalgia on my part, but I think it's a very weird experiment as well as a really charming little film.
Okay, and your timer starts now.
Strap in, guys. Roald Dahl is sitting in a writing hut and tells us the story of Henry Sugar, a rich, dull man who discovers a book at a party. That book tells the story of Dr. ZZ Chatterjee, who meets Imdad Khan, the man who can see without his eyes, who tells the story of how he met a great yogi, and that yogi then tells the story of how he gained his powers. Khan then develops the powers, which Chatterjee details, which Sugar then develops to see through cards, and then Sugar has an epiphany, spends the rest of his life winning money at casinos and funding orphanages, which is then told to Dahl, which then he tells to us. The second film is The Swan, about a small boy, Peter Watson, who's bullied by two boys with a rifle, and after they kill a swan, they tie the severed wings to Peter's arms, make him climb a tree, and then shoot him in the legs. Kids can be cruel. The Rat Catcher is the story of a weird man who catches rats. And Poison, the last of the films, takes place in 1950s India, where a friend visits a man called Harry, who has had a deadly snake fall asleep on his stomach while reading in bed. They get Dr. Ganderbai to attend and help them remove the snake, leading to unpleasant consequences. That's time.
Well done.
Wow.
Nicely done.
What was that?
That was 59 seconds. I kept
Guys,
the timer just to show.
I'm a professional performer. I talk for a living.
Well, you're quite helped by the next film as Rat Catcher, about a weird guy called Rats.
Listen.
Catches rats.
We'll go into that in more detail, but thanks for your time.
I read Henry Sugar when I was a kid, and I was absolutely gobsmacked by the story. But I never actually, I think it must have been when I was 8 years old or something like that. And I remember trying to can I just cleanse my mind for 10 seconds? Oh no, I can't. So it was just by that rationale, I was impressed by the story, and I really liked it. But then I haven't read it. I didn't even know the name of the book until watching this again. I was like, oh shit, that was a book I used to like. Oh, that was that story I used to like. So I was really pleased when it unfurled in front of me. You said you read Roald Dahl books as a kid. Hannah, I don't know how old you are, but I assume you've read some Roald Dahl in your life.
I'm 35. I have read some Roald Dahl, but more the more popular ones like The Twits, BFG, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was not familiar with Henry Sugar.
Well, it was a short story. Was it part of the compendium?
Yeah, it's called The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and Other Stories, and it includes The Swan. It's got a really interesting one about a turtle, a boy who makes friends with a turtle and then sails off into the sea. There's
the one where they eat the turtles.
That's the one about, not eating the turtle and the boy being heartbroken about, the idea that they would. There's some advice to young writers. There's Lucky Break. And then there's a really cool one called Hitchhiker, which is about Roald Dahl writing from his own perspective and picking up a guy in his sports car and the guy saying, oh yeah, I'm a fingersmith. I'm not a pickpocket. I'm a fingersmith. I'm the artist. And then they get pulled over for speeding. I think it's a really cool set of short stories. Roald Dahl is a complicated figure, and I don't know how much we'll go into his, various unpleasantnesses, but I do think they caught my imagination and they stand up. I read a lot of them to my kids a couple of years ago, actually, and I think they still stand up in lots of ways. So,
Helen, where are you in Roald Dahl?
So, I grew up on all of his books for children. But, similar to Sam, when I first read, Henry Sugar and the books that are in there, it was just on a completely different level. I'd reread it so many times and I was just so obsessed with the story and about how Henry could do all these things and how vivid it was in my mind. And also...
Did you try and clear your mind?
Yeah, stare into a candle. To see if I could do it. But also in this book, I was also incredibly obsessed with the Swan and just the way the writing and the way I was able to visualize it was just incredible. And it was just such a weird story, so weird and completely fantastical, but also slightly believable as well. So I had read the other two as well, but as an adult, I'd read those because they're from more of his adult collections. So for me, the combination of Wes Anderson, who I'm a big fan, and Roald Dahl, and watching The Swan and Henry Sugar literally fused so many parts of my brain that as I was watching it, seeing and the way that it's done as well is in quite a weird way. It's almost like word for word, pretty much. So remembering all of those words and seeing the accompanied visuals, but also having those words read out, like sent my brain in kind of like a mega part of my brain happened. Nostalgia, memory, visualizations.
I've got a lot of questions I'm going to direct towards Sam when we get in a second. But Hannah, what are your thoughts?
I think I'm coming at this differently from you three because you've read the story, whereas I haven't. I found it amusing, but I think I appreciate it more for how it looked rather than the substance of the story.
Sure.
Which it happens to me quite a lot with Wes Anderson, to be honest. I thought it looked amazing. The visuals were spectacular. I loved the sets. I loved how like the different parts of the staging kept moving, how they would like the actors would go to one side and come back in different outfits. But yeah, the stories, I was just like, they're fine. I liked Henry Sugar the most, and then I thought Poison was quite fun. But Ratcatcher, I struggled with, like, engagement-wise.
That's fair.
The question I was going to throw to you, Sam, was when I was watching it, I just thought, this could be very clearly a stage performance, the way they've set it up, and the way it would be very, 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 very expensive staging, but how the backgrounds and the setup worked, I thought pretty much transpose it into that scenario.
It is theatrical. I think that one of the things that I find most fascinating about these films is the way that they straddle the line between film and theatre. I'm a big film fan. In fact, I studied film theory and history at university, and I'm a professional actor. These wouldn't work as theatre pieces for like some weird specific reasons. And arguably they don't work as films because obviously you've got all of the dialogue being, all of the narration being delivered as dialogue, and also the rate at which they go in most of these shorts is sort of too fast to pass as that's an acceptable way to tell a story. I think that Anderson is giving the sense that this is sort of a theatrical presentation. And actually the Dahl estate, the Dahl Story Company, granted a whole bunch of rights around 2020. I worked a lot at Unicorn Theatre, and they got permission to do filmed versions during pandemic of The Twits and The Magic Finger, but not stage adaptations, literally staged readings. And the rules were you had to use almost all of the narration, very much like these Wes Anderson ones. And they did The Witches film, and they did The Witches, the National Theatre, and they've got a new version of the BFG coming to the RSC this Christmas. So clearly the estate has gone, let's get some of this IP out into the world. And I think this choice by Anderson, who'd already made Fantastic Mr. Fox in 2009, who clearly had a good relationship with Felicity Dahl, Roald Dahl's widow, is an attempt to go, how can we do something that preserves the language of the book? Because you'd never adapt something for the stage like this. You wouldn't do all the narration. And even if you did, you wouldn't do some of these sudden lighting shifts and the simultaneously elegant and inelegant transitions with like set being hoisted up and down. It's sort of like it's like a theatrical in big quote marks. So what makes me really excited by these shorts is the way that they're going. It's like a prose story, but it's not a prose story. And it's theatrical, but it's not how theatre would work. And it's filmed, but it's not how film would work. And you've got a whole bunch of really talented actors, almost all of which are not really given much time or space to do much acting. They're just sort of like doing like almost physical gesture. I think most of them work really well, despite the fact that they're sort of failing in any direction of storytelling that you'd care to name.
It reminded me, it was like, for me, the way they spoke was like a combination of Wes Anderson and Yorgos Lanthimos with a bit of Aaron Sorkin pace to the
There's a lot of walking
speaking.
talking, it's true.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this. Again, Henry Sugar, I can understand, Hannah, if you come to this like out without any context, just thinking, this is a bit weird. This guy can see, and then he dies, and then the guy learns to see through. Oh, fine. Okay. Whatever.
And it's weird that it's like a story within a story within a story. It goes from like Roald Dahl to Henry Sugar to Chatterjee, or I've got the name wrong, and then it circles back again. And
then Khan, and then the Yogi tells a story, which then Khan tells to Chatterjee, which Chatterjee tells to the book, which then Dahl tells us, which then Anderson makes a film about, and I've just described that film to you on the podcast as well. I think there's like 6 or 7 different levels of
layers,
storytelling.
But I did enjoy... Look, this is, Wes Anderson's... There's a joke, Wes Anderson's made his film again. As soon as they said he's doing this, I was like, I know pretty much exactly what it's going to look like. And it was square frame, everything centralised, people at odds or very mirror image on the screen. But it undermines the craft behind those setups and the ways he plays things. And obviously it's a choice to have all the characters narrate, but then also narrate, but also engage in the story at the same time. It's a weird direction to take, but I think it worked. And we're not going to see it in every film going forward, but it's great that they take this opportunity to do so. And for me, it worked. I really enjoyed the way they did it. And the way they were spiking the camera and speaking directly into the camera and all these kind of different directional takes they've taken, the choices that were made were great.
Did you feel like, Helen, maybe as someone who's read them all at various different stages and liked the stories in different ways and at different levels, did the success of the films all match the success of the stories for you?
Yeah, I think so. Although the only thing that didn't match is that Benedict Cumberbatch is a lot better looking than Henry Sugar is implied to be,
yes,
or Henry Sugar is described as being. But yeah, I think the kind of like tone of them matched as well, in that they are a little bit weird and you're not really sure whether you're meant to laugh or look away in horror at certain parts. And I kind of imagine that coming at them first time through Wes Anderson's eyes as well is probably even more surreal. I also really like how it's like a rotating cast and they all play different characters and they all play them really, really well and really enjoyable. I particularly like Ralph Fiennes as Dahl, but also as the rat catcher.
Yeah. Didn't he play another role as well?
The police officer as well.
Who gives Henry Sugar the idea to actually do something decent
with his money.
The outraged, yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple of regulars and then there's some new additions as well, and Jarvis is in there as well.
He is, yeah.
Did I miss something?
Joseph Cocker played... he does the song at the end, but then he also plays the...
guy at the entry?
The guy who
the casino.
greets Henry Sugar, the man whose job it is to never forget a name.
Oh, sorry, I don't know that guy.
Yeah, because it's Jarvis Cocker.
Yeah.
You also noticed the other weird celebrity appearance. I've forgotten his name, but one of Tom Hanks's sons is the guy who makes the noise for the rifle. Herbert Hanks, is that right?
I know Colin Hanks.
Yeah, Colin, and then the other one.
The other one.
The one that we don't talk about.
The one that well, Chet Hanks is the one that you don't talk about, but I think there's another one. Listen.
And how lovely is it to see Ben Kingsley? Like, you don't really see him much in films.
He looked like he's having lots of fun in this.
Yeah.
I think he's really good as well. He's someone who's working at a slightly slower pace than the rest of the storytellers. And whether that's a requirement or that's him insisting, no, this is too fast to go. But he holds that slower pace really well. And he's a very charming storyteller. They all are, but he's a different sort of storyteller for me.
I was going to say my favourite was Dev Patel. He really rattles off that dialogue.
He's going too fast. I feel like he's about to come off the rails.
But I thought he was great. I feel like it worked with, especially in Poison, because it had like the panic of the situation with the snake. I feel like the pace of it worked better. But I really liked seeing Dev Patel in a Wes Anderson film.
It'd be nice to have him in some more. Sometimes when Wes has actors in there, they're almost like so perfect, and you're like, why haven't they been in a film before? They must be in everyone. And it's not always like that, but I felt that as well for Dev. That I was like, could he be in all of them? Could it be the future for him? We'll have to wait and see.
Him and Willem Dafoe always
popping up.
You mentioned Roald Dahl, Simon. We probably should just kind of gauge where we are on Roald Dahl then versus now. We don't have to go into too much of the detail, but go on, you go first.
I think there's a quote in the Henry Sugar story where they describe Henry Sugar. He was not a bad man, but he was not a particularly good one either. And I think that sort of catches where I am, at least, about Dahl. By all accounts, he was pretty unpleasant to his first wife, at least. And he's got this weird thread of, like, anti-Semitism that seems to have gone through his life and various, like, interviews that he's given, while also various people who worked with him saying, well, he had no problem with individual Jewish people who he worked with, who were his agents and, you know, accountants and that kind of thing. It's something that I take a little bit of that cognitive dissonance where I go, the books were a huge impact on me, and that doesn't mean they still have to be something that is important. Adaptations are a long way away from him as an original writer. An unpleasant person can do all sorts of things that have a great effect on the world, while also, you know, and his philanthropic stuff, you know, doesn't excuse, it doesn't balance out or obliterate his unpleasant personal opinions. I think he's like a lot of people of his generation, you know, my friends and relatives included, where you go, you're just from a time where everyone was nastier about a bunch of topics. And I just need to remember that a little bit as I also go, isn't Henry Sugar a delightful story that can move me to tears?
Yeah. I think for me, there's a couple of things where it often depends how into their output you are. So for me, for example, I haven't actively put on any Michael Jackson for a long time, but if Billie Jean comes on, I'll be like, hey, this is a banger. But if someone put on any R. Kelly, I'd be like, no, you can just turn off. I'm not interested in what this guy's got to say. I read like James and the Giant Peach when my son was born, and I was like, I was more taken. The thing that took me out of James and the Giant Peach more, which is something that's prevalent in all his films, is how he portrays people, which they're either really fat and gross or really thick skin, and like as well. That's the kind of thing that takes me out of Roald Dahl nowadays when I read those stories. When I read it now, so that combined with his background makes it quite easy for me to go, I'm not going to read X, Y, Z. But then things like Fantastic Mr. Fox, you still got the gross like farmers in there and how he describes them, but you kind of think that's it's a bit unfair the way he's characterising people, and I think that kind of bleeds into life in a way that I don't really appreciate. But some of his stories are still like, I still can't deny how much fun I had reading The Twits as a kid, and George's Marvellous Medicine, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and those things will always be with me. But likewise, when this came out, I was like, yeah, I'm sure I'm going to really enjoy it, and I really did. So it's just a tough thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, Roald Dahl got me into reading, like, it opened up, like, my whole world to other books and things, and I just loved this stuff then. But, like, I don't have children. Whether I would introduce them to his books, probably, I don't know. But, yeah, as you say, it's of a time, like, if you look into the past of a lot of people from that generation, it's not great. But, I was reading something as well, like, kids like that kind of stuff. Like, his really kind of very vivid descriptions of often quite unpleasant things as well are really engaging to kids' minds. So he was kind of onto something. And also, like, it was his words and Quentin Blake's illustrations as well that really brought everything to life. And for me,
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue. Subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar. Zero patience for slow walkers. Those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night. Have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
Hey, it's Paris. I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and Auto Camp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality, That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
It was just a really amazing time to be discovering these stories. I can't say that I didn't really enjoy that. It's made me who I am. But yeah, it's just another one of those where you're like, well, that's another thing we can't enjoy. Damn you for being the man you are.
Yeah, because even like Bruce Bogtrotter in Matilda. Matilda's like probably the favourite Roald Dahl, but you think, he's kind of leaning into a fat kid who's making them almost gluttony from Seven in a way, which is pretty dark.
It's dark, but as a kid, that stuff is
yeah, definitely
great.
The Witches, my God, The Witches is still great. I think Witches kind of holds up, although the representation of the last film wasn't that great.
The recent one, yeah. It's a complicated topic, and I think that engaging with it actively is worth doing. And I don't think it's as cut and dry as going, oh, we've learned unpleasant things about you. Those things are no longer accessible. You just need to add that into the equation of, I liked it before, and maybe it'd be something to read for my kid, and what are the actual words in this that are going to be perpetuated. I did a lot of editing on the fly of a bunch of Roald Dahl stuff, and also a bunch of Dr. Seuss things where I just skip over pages. It's fine. I just don't want to read those particular racial stereotypes to my kid at age 3. We have this power. It's all fine.
You can make that decision, can't you? You can choose what you want to take forward in that.
Well, one thing I do on the fly with Milo is lots of kids' books are there'll be 5 characters and none of them will be women or female, even though they're animals or whatever. And I'm just like, can the mouse not be so I'll often say she and things like that.
Transitioning characters on the fly. Yeah. Wow.
Sorry, Hannah, we've gone into Roald Dahl there. Let's get back to Henry Sugar and 3 more stories. So which was your favourite story then, Honey? Because you said you weren't, the story none of them bowled you over, but which one kind of caught you the most, if any?
Henry Sugar was definitely the best one. Yeah, even though it is a bit of a strange story, because it, like I said before, it's just a story within a story within a story. I did love just the visuals of it. I loved the actors. I really loved Ray Fiennes' introduction as Roald Dahl. And as you said, the transitions. I love Wes Anderson's colour palette. The two that I wasn't... the Ratcatcher, I think I sort of glazed over a bit. That one didn't engage me so much.
What did you make of how they neglected or didn't show the rat or the poison and things like that?
Yeah, all
I thought
those
that was
invisible
a bit of a choice.
Yeah, it was... Didn't they have a rat puppet or...
Yeah.
For the second one, so he brings out the tin of poisoned oats, and that's invisible and mimed.
Yeah.
And then the first extraordinary thing where he pulls out a rat and a ferret, they're invisible, and he mimes putting them into his shirt and mimes bringing it out. And then the rat that he then kills for his second extraordinary thing is a puppet that then becomes an animation, and then Rupert Friend then becomes the rat in sort of a play act thing. I mean, again, the kind of stuff that happens in theatre, but no, we wouldn't do like that. Probably there'd be no puppet, and also
we were robbed a stock animation ferret and a rat running around. Finds his shirt. I think
Netflix can't afford that.
They can afford anything they want. Have you seen The Grey Man?
Yeah, sure. How did you guys react to the end of Poison? Poison, right at the end, with that sort of sudden flurry of 1950s British colonial racial hatred, was came out of nowhere. I was having such a fun time with this sort of silly, slow, careful thing, and then it became incredibly real at the end. Really, such a gear change, and capped the whole thing off really satisfyingly to me.
I mean, I was like, oh, that's the Roald Dahl that we're trying to forget. So for me, my rankings are probably Henry the Swan, very, very top, Ratcatcher. Poison, I remember reading and going, oh, I'm not sure about that one. But I did like Ratcatcher because he's talked a lot about rat's blood being licorice before. And that just really has been in my brain for a long, long time. And
you're a big licorice fan, aren't you, Helen?
Yeah, I do actually like it. But as a child, I was like, maybe it is Raid from Rat's Blood.
Yeah.
Because I believed everything Roald Dahl wrote. And I really like Fiennes as the rat catcher. I think he's so ratty in it.
Yeah.
He is very ratty.
But yeah, I don't know. Poisons just seems like a bit of an odd choice, given this. Like the turtle one could have been a bit more Wes Anderson-y. So I don't know. Poison's my least favourite.
Poison has been made into film versions multiple times before. Alfred Hitchcock directed it for an episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and they did a version of it for Tales from of the Unexpected, the Dahl anthology series from the 1980s on British TV. I don't know, I didn't feel like it was the thing, like the Dahl that we need to forget. I thought it was part of the 1950s Raj attitude of colonisers that we need to remember and go, oh yeah, there were a lot of nasty people who, you know, were just waiting to let all of these unpleasant thoughts out at any given opportunity.
I don't remember the end, actually, so I'm not going to comment. I was watching just a bit of a tired stupor. Let's go to the scores.
I'm Sam Clements, host of the 90 Minutes or Less Film Festival, another podcast in the Stripped Media family, a podcast that celebrates movies under 90 minutes long. Each episode, I'm joined by a special guest who selects a movie to join our prestigious lineup. Past guests have included fellow Stripped Media family members Martin and Sam from Song by Song, and Kobe from Flixwatcher, and Dave from The Wire Stripped. Search for us now on the app you're currently listening to this podcast, or join us at 90minfilmfest.com.
Welcome to our Flixwatcher scores. They are always out of 5. You may have decimal places if you wish. So you're giving a score for all 4 together. So you're going to have to do some balancing in your brains for what you're going to give. And we'll start with you, please, Sam, because it's your choice with your recommendability.
Well, guys, I mean, I know the patented Flixwatcher scoring system of old, and I refer to the spreadsheet every now and again. So I built my own spreadsheet where I did a recommendability repeat and all the various different things for each film separately, and then averaged that.
Wow.
I won't share this, but suffice to say, it's not that entertaining. My recommendability for the 4 films ranges from 5 to 2, but averaged out at about 3.5. I think that Henry Sugar and Poison are really gripping, and I enjoyed them immensely. I found The Swan a bit of a drab one, and The Ratcatcher entertaining for performance. But this is also so weird that I can't, hand on heart, really give it a super high score overall. So I think 3.5 is where I've landed.
Hannah?
I'm a 3. I did like Henry Sugar. I think if you're into Wes Anderson, it's still worth the watch because it is very Wes Anderson-y. So you'll definitely like it if you like his stuff. But yeah, I wasn't that gripped by the stories themselves, though.
Helen?
So it's the first time we've had my buddy Wes on.
No, we've had Life Aquatic, haven't we?
No.
Have we not done Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou?
He's never been on Netflix.
Steve Zissou the guest or Steve Zissou the character?
Steve Zissou the character.
Okay, sure.
I'm pretty sure I'd remember if we had.
I'm going to check on the scoreboard.
I'm going to check.
Drum roll, please.
We've had Life of Brian.
I mean, I have covered the Life Aquatic on other podcasts.
Okay, no,
because for
some reason I thought we'd done Life Aquatic.
We have the only other film that is on Netflix, sort of every now and again, is Moonrise Kingdom, and I think the Fantastic Mr. Fox has been on, but might not been offered now. Yeah.
Yeah, Fantastic Mr. Fox has been on there. I thought we'd talked about Life Aquatic. I should have checked. Guys, if you want to go to see our previous films, go to flixwatcher.tv/scoreboard. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
So, yeah, he's very divisive, though. So, if you don't like Wes Anderson, then this is not going to be the convert for you. This is not going to bring you in. And likewise, maybe if you're a little bit lukewarm on Roald Dahl, or maybe this isn't going to be the one that pulls you in either. So I'm going to go 3.5 because I think Henry Sugar is the main attraction, and I think that's probably maybe the easiest story to get on board with. And then, as we've already discussed, we've got varying kind of different feelings towards the others. But if you've liked Wes's stuff previously, you do kind of enjoy Roald Dahl, you should definitely check it out. But I'm not sure it's going to convert any non-believers.
I think if you like Wes's stuff post Moonrise Kingdom, then yeah. If you like his earlier stuff, then you might not be convinced by this current trajectory. I'm going to go for a 4. I think this is the problem you have with anthology films generally, isn't it? There's stories that are weaker, there's stories that pull you in a bit more. I think the repeat viewing score will be quite an interesting one, but generally I was taken by it. I liked what was going on, I liked the visuals. Yeah, let's give it a 4. Why not? Repeat viewing score, Sam.
This also had a bit of a varied one. I have watched Henry Sugar again, but it was my first time with the other 3.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, yeah, because it was split up in separate stories.
And Henry Sugar was the one that I thought would work well for a family viewing as well, which I was ready to go back to the other ones. It turns out my kid would not have enjoyed Ray Fiennes spitting blood
Swan.
out of his mouth.
What happened to the rat?
It's licorice.
No, she would know what had happened to the rat. It's just that, whether the bedtime that followed would go well. Anyway, that's to say, I would go back to a lot of these. I think there's loads of little details in the performances that are super charming and that I had not noticed before. Ben Kingsley checking his mark as he comes back on stage. The little looks that Richard Ayoade gives the camera, in a very trademark way, but that also feels very in keeping. So I'm going to go on average 4. But I think a lot of that weighting goes towards Henry Sugar and Poison because I find those super delightful and full of little details that really charm me.
The bookend stories. Just a quick thing I just remembered was Henry Sugar won the Academy Award for a short story, didn't he?
That's right.
There was a bit of an uproar because they're like, no, this is supposed to be for unestablished filmmakers. But I was like, well, there's nowhere in the rules that say that. And if Steven Spielberg wants to make a 30-minute film about X, Y, Z, then
yeah.
I kind of get what they're saying. I just want to see what your kind of general thoughts are.
I personally think that all the Oscar stuff is quite political anyway, and so the idea that a choice that they make that ends in an uproar or also congratulation, big news, film at 11, huge surprise.
Any thoughts, Hannah?
I don't mind it. I'm just like, he's made a short. Henry Sugar was good. I've seen it twice. I think it deserves it. But at the same time, short filmmakers like that is their way to get their films seen more, whereas he would have got a lot of eyeballs on this anyway, being Wes Anderson, being on Netflix. So, yeah, it is a shame to them, but I don't think it should take away from his win.
I mean, there's only one person per year who can win anyway, so it's not like it's the...
They should have given him the Oscars for his other films when they had the chance then. That's all I can say.
I'm sure he'll have his chances. What's
the most emotional I've ever heard you be on any topic, Helen?
Didn't he get a lot of Oscars for your hotel one? Grand Budapest?
He's won Best Screenplay before, but he's won the biggies.
Hannah, repeat viewing score.
I'm going to give this a 2.5. I would probably watch Henry Sugar again and maybe Poison again, but I wouldn't bother with the other 2.
Helen.
I'm going to go 3. I mean, the bonus is that all 4 of these together are a combined runtime of less than 90 minutes, which, let's face it, is a lot shorter than a lot of films. So in terms of rewatching, they're like little snacks. So they're really not going to take that much out of your time. I've watched Henry Sugar a couple of times. I don't know, maybe I'd watch The Swan again and maybe Ratcatcher. I mean, they are super, super short. They're things that you can just think, I'd like to have a little bit of Wes, but I don't really want to sit down for a full movie. You can just have a little snack. So yeah, I think I'm a 3.
I'll definitely watch them again, and will I watch them? I think I'll probably just watch them all from start to finish again. To be honest, I'm not sure I can be that bothered to cherry pick. I'll probably start one, finish at the end of it, and then pick up when the next one carries on. I don't think I'll be like, let's just watch Henry Sugar 3 times in a row and negate the other ones. So Yeah, let's give it a 3.5. Small screen score. Sam?
I think this is a 5. I think that these...
Oh, really? Sorry to stop.
No, I've changed my mind. 1.25. I think that the weirdness of the format, like literally the storytelling technique sort of pulls me towards this on smaller screens, because I think it is something that doesn't want to be on a big cinema screen. It wants to be on a VHS. The opening of the film says these short films that were made between like 1970 and 1980 for Channel 7 in British TV. And I feel like there's a little bit of like look around you in this, where you want it to be on a small screen. You want it to be a ragged VHS copy. You want there to be like distortions and adverts between them. So I think it's built for this. So I'm going to say 100% watch it on a small screen, 5 out of 5.
Hannah?
I'm going to give it a 4. I saw Henry Sugar in the cinema. It was at the Venice Film Festival when I was there that year. And I definitely was more impressed by the visuals and just the technical brilliance of it, seeing it in the cinema. But at the same time, I don't think it really loses anything watching it on a small screen either. And the other 3 I hadn't seen before, and I don't think seeing it on a small screen was detrimental to my experience. I think they're absolutely fine for the small screen.
Helen?
I really would have liked to have seen this at the cinema. Had it have had a release, I would have gone to see it 100%.
Did it have no release whatsoever?
I don't remember it. I just remember it basically just going, we're on Netflix. I was like, oh, great, I'm going to watch it then. Ta-da! All 4 of them. There with my little remote on the day of release, watching them. It's very exciting, but I would have been excited to go and see them at the cinema. So I'm a little bit jealous that you got to see it on the big screen. I mean, Wes only really makes films for the big screen, even though obviously this was for Netflix. He doesn't think I'm going to like shrink my vision or I'm going to like compromise on anything that I want to do. So for me, I would have liked the chance to. But yeah, I mean, they're fine to watch at home. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Can I just question, do you not think that he's intentionally shrinking his vision? Do you not think he's like the scale of his vision is about making it small and weird and like cheap TV movie kind of thing?
I don't know. I didn't think it looked cheap. Like Henry Sugar didn't. No.
I mean, but like jokey cheap. You know what I mean? Like the
with like the
aesthetic,
sets
like,
and things.
Yeah. Like, you know, we're seeing stage managers and crew running on with things, and we see the hoists and it. But that's the detail.
Yeah.
That for me is a bit of the detail that's benefited from the bigger screen. That, you know. But Karen, sorry.
I don't think that's shrinking. That's just kind of telling how he said he wants to tell the story, because they could have gone, oh, well, you know, this is just for TV, so you don't really need to do like the thrills around it. Just kind of like put the story on there. I think he could have just used less stuff or made it look less like his films, I guess. But he hasn't. He's just gone, even though this thing is only 10 minutes, I'm going to bring all of my creativity to it.
Sure. Okay, fair enough.
So you're 4. I'm going to go for 4.1. I would have loved to see this in the cinema, to be honest with you. I think, as Helen said, I think he, as much as possible, see what he visualises on screen, because it's a lot of care and attention to that, and make that as big as possible. There was that kind of hyper-realised, hyper-saturated colouring, which is kind of video format from like the 70s and 80s, isn't it, that kind of was pulled into here, which I appreciated. But seeing, you know, Richard Ayoade spiking the camera, clearly having a good time, why not? Why not have it on the biggest screen possible? But it still works at home. So 4.1. Engagement score, Sam.
This is, again, a bit of a mix. I did stop between most of the films in order to do other things with my life. I find Henry Sugar is a 5. Henry Sugar's 5 by itself, pretty much across the board. The other ones held my attention differently, and I was sort of felt awkward in various places. I sort of wanted to step away, so I've gone 4.25.
Oh, it's decent though, still.
It's varied. Still, yeah, well, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy with that score. I'm happy.
Hannah?
I'm going for a 3. I'd say Henry Sugar's probably doing the heavy lifting with that score, because I found that really engaging. But yeah, the Swan and Ratcatcher bring it down for me. I really struggled to concentrate on it.
Helen?
I'm going to give it around 4 as an aggregate on that. I didn't watch them all in one go. I've kind of had them as little snacks.
That's the beauty of these anthology things, isn't it?
Yeah, I just kind of pick them up when the mood has taken me. I mean, they're super short. Like Henry Sugar's like 39 minutes. So if you can't keep your attention for 39 minutes or like 10 minutes on the others, then I don't know. You're like me.
So, yeah, I'm going to go for... I think if you're watching a Wes Anderson film, you need to be locked into it. Otherwise, it's kind of semi-pointless. So I'm going to go for a 4.5 here. One thing, again, like I said, because I didn't realise this is the story that I'd read as a kid back in the 80s. I was like, when it started, and it's telling a story about a man who could see through things. I was like, oh, this reminds you of something. And then, I'm sure it wasn't an Indian person. And then when Henry Sugar... when you get back to him in that library and he's stolen the book and he's like, maybe I could use this for my life. I was like, holy shit, I know this. So that kind of hooked me in. So that's a really weird, obtuse angle, which not many people are going to have that same experience. But yeah, I think you got to be, when you watch Wes Anderson, you have to be either in it or you're just pointless paying attention. And that gives us an overall score of 3.74063.
It's fairly decent.
Where did it lose points? Yeah, repeat viewing score. Lost a few points there, but otherwise pretty good. Sam and Hannah, thank you very much for joining us. Sam, thank you very much for bringing Henry Sugar and 3 other stories. Can you tell us where we can find you online and say goodbye to the listeners?
I'm off all the socials, but you can find all of the many, many episodes that I did on the music of Tom Waits at the website songbysongpodcast.com, or put Song by Song into your podcast app of choice.
Hannah?
You can read all my reviews at missflix.com. And we have Blue Sky accounts and Instagram accounts. It's at Miss Flix on Blue Sky and at Miss_Flix on Instagram. And my personal accounts are at Hannah Walesy.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure to revisit, unwittingly, Henry Sugar.
Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty, mighty tunes, and Rockwood Audio's editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.